Hi, my name is Renee and I'm with COVID Recovery Iowa. And today we're going to talk about isolation in the pandemic, how we care for our long-term care residents. You'll see here on the first slide just lots of information about COVID Recovery Iowa. We have warm lines and hotlines and lots of different visibility on social media as well as a website if you'd like to get some more information. And you'll get this information again at the end, but just wanted to let you know that we're here to support you during the pandemic. What we're going to talk about today for the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about the physical and emotional cost of social isolation and the opportunities to overcome it. And then the resources for socially distant engagement, or I guess we should call that physically distant engagement. You don't want to be socially distant in this time. We really need to be 6 feet apart, which is more physically distant. But to start out, just want to ask you, how are you doing? I mean, really think about it for a minute. How are you? Not your family, not your friends, not staff, but you. How are you doing? This pandemic has been hard on a lot of people. So just want to take a minute and just think about, how am I doing? Are you healthy? Are you safe? Are you somewhere where you're getting taken care of and well fed? Are you somewhere where you have friends and support and family, even if they can't be near you? But how are you doing? We at COVID Recovery Iowa really care about you and how you are doing. So let's talk about social isolation, what it is and what it isn't. Social isolation, it's stressful, but it's not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is when you perceive being by yourself, perceive not being with others, that kind of thing. But isolation happens when you absolutely can't be with other people. So isolation in this time could be due to quarantine, right? It could be due to not being able to have visitors, to not being able to see people that you care about. So isolation really is stressful. It is a growing health epidemic. Research shows that over 8 million adults 50 and over deal with isolation. And isolation can be due to not having transportation, not having access to getting to where people might be. And it's a growing problem in our country, and it's rarely caused by a single event. In this case, it could be due to COVID and not being able to have the same type of visitors and friends and connections that we're accustomed to. Or it could be due to other types of sociological changes, like maybe we don't have access to transportation, or maybe we don't have access to get to here or there. And you might have it due to a loss or a change in your life, maybe losing a spouse or losing a job. All types of different things can boost social isolation. And in the pandemic, the need has never been greater. So let's talk about stress and how it impacts us. Stress is how your body and your brain responds to a demand. Now that demand can be good or bad, but your body responds in a stress manner. So say you're trying to get up to get ready in the morning to get to breakfast, or you're trying to get out the door to a doctor's appointment, and there's some stress with that in your body. Get you up and going, get you moving along. That's not a bad thing. It just means you're alive. That means something's going on with you today and you have something to look forward to, right? And there's stress. But stress can also come due to bad things. It can be due to trauma. It could also come due to loss. You may have lost family or friends during this pandemic, or lost the ability to go outside and to do the things that you care about and that you love to do. Those losses can also cause stress. And stress, if you don't deal with it, can impact your health. And you have to pay attention to how stress impacts you. So this is an image of what a typical disaster would look like. A typical phase of disaster, you have a pre-disaster, then you typically have a honeymoon. So you can think about, say, the Columbine shooting. They might have had a warning or a threat that there was going to be something that goes on at Columbine back in the day. And then you had the impact of the shooting. After that, there's a heroic phase where we all are so grateful for everyone who came to help to kind of put that place back together. But then after that, the rebuild goes on and on. There's disillusionment, different things spike and change, and other shootings across the country, kind of copycats, went around the country, making the recovery long and hard. And about the 1 year mark, you'll see that we're starting to gain back and move toward recovery. But it takes a long time to get through reconstruction, getting back to normal. And in a pandemic, you in a disaster, you have what's called a surge capacity. A surge capacity is the adaptive system that you have in your body that you can draw upon for short-term survival in acutely stressful situations, such as a natural disaster. So if you're from Iowa or from the Midwest, you know we have floods, we have tornadoes, we had a derecho this past year. I've never thought I had been through one of those before. And you have a natural capacity to make it through a traumatic event, a house fire, all the different things. But pandemics are different because there's not really a start date or an ending date, and they just seem to go on and on. And so there's a lot of challenges for your stress in your body when that's happening. So how do you deal with isolation? The biggest piece of dealing with isolation is getting connected. And I know for folks that are going to be in a facility or folks that have been protected from being around others due to COVID, this may sound like an impossible challenge. But let's talk today about some high-tech and some low-tech options that you might have to get together with people to stay connected. Now, research shows that if you stay isolated long enough, mental clarity starts to wane. Your physical body actually starts to decay as well. And so if you're not feeling as clear-minded, if you're not feeling as happy as your old self, you might need to think about, how can I get connected? So how can we connect? Here's some low-tech methods, just some easy everyday ideas you might have. If you're in a facility, you might think about some doorway bingo. Maybe you can't go room to room. Maybe you can't see everybody and go together out into the common area or go together to lunch. But you could sit in your doorways and still see each other across the hall or up and down the hallways. And maybe you could have staff go up and down and call out some bingo numbers and play some doorway bingo, or even have it on the loudspeaker over the entire facility as something that you might enjoy that would be fun. Same kind of idea with a door-to-door ice cream social. Maybe they can just bring out a cart and just go around the whole place and making sure everybody had ice cream and that you could celebrate and have ice cream together even while you are apart. That is a way to get connected. Another option might be a pen pal or a phone call pal. There's lots of organizations with children or with older adults that would love to connect with you. So if you're at a facility that doesn't have a pen pal club or a phone call club, reach out to us. We have lots of ideas of who you might be able to chat with. We know of lots of scouting clubs, boys clubs, girls clubs that are interested in being pen pals, or churches that might want to partner with you to be able to send letters back and forth. That old snail mail is really still a real important piece. So sending letters to others, getting cards, getting packages, and making sure that you can send and receive those is a low-tech way to still be connected in this tough time. Another option would be higher-tech methods. Now, I know a lot of folks might not be interested in really understanding how to use technology, but in a pandemic, it's really pretty critical that we start to learn some new things. And if you have somebody that's willing to help or assist you, or even if you don't, but maybe you have access to a phone or to an iPad or to a laptop, COVID Recovery Iowa has tech support, and we can help you walk through how to use it better. I know my parents are older, and I'm constantly getting questions from my dad about how to use Facebook. And it doesn't matter how many times we go over it, we get stuck, and he'll call me and say, I can't do X. Can you please help me do this on Facebook? I also know for my family, we spend a lot of time learning how to use Zoom. We've had to do several holidays and birthday parties on Zoom this year because we weren't able to get together as a family. So high-tech methods could include attending concerts or lectures. Do you know how much free material is out there on the internet that you can just use and go to? You could be going to a different concert or lecture every day. I know this past weekend my brother had a band that he likes out of, I forgot what country in Europe, and my 5-year-old nephew and my brother were spending time doing an online concert, and my nephew was showing me all the lights that they had pulled out of around the house so that they'd have their lights set up for the indoor concert. And he was showing me that on his little pad or tablet that he carries around. And so I can't be with him, but yet I'm still connected to them and can hear those stories. FaceTime and Zoom or any other type of social media connection, lots of things that you can do. Now, maybe this isn't something that you have, but maybe you have television in your room, and what you could talk to your facility about is in-house TV channels. Have you thought about maybe having a local channel for your building, for your facility, where you could do activities on it each day and pipe into every room and potentially do exercise or games or activities? Some of the facilities might have this ability and some might not, but it might be something worth looking into. Is there a way to get a in-house channel so that all of you could do and play games together at the same time? And if maybe not video is your speed, but maybe it's audio, maybe being able to connect to the radio to listen to NPR, PBS, other types of music, whatever it is to keep your mind active so that you feel like you're connected to the outside world is really important during this season. So right here, I'm going to give a lot of different resources of lots of different activities that you can do. One I think is really interesting is the second one. There's a NASA astronaut, Scott Kelly, was in social isolation as he was up on the space station by himself for a very long time. And it talks about what that was like for him and what he did to try to overcome being physically isolated from all people. And what do you do when you're in those kinds of seasons? So there's some really interesting things here that you can pursue. So here at COVID Recovery Iowa, we do a lot of things for people. So we have, like I said, warm lines and hotlines, and I'll get to those numbers in just a minute. But we also have personal support and assessment. So when you call one of those hotline numbers, if you are interested in talking to somebody, we have people available you can talk to. The warm line that we have available is now available from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day, meaning that somebody answers that phone just to talk to you. So if you have a phone, you could have somebody that you could chat with, and then they'll check back on you each week to see how you're doing. We have virtual groups and activities. Like I said before, we have websites and we have Facebook and lots of other social media channels. We have YouTube channel. So you could get involved in activities, whether you want to go to a concert or whether or not you want to do a four-legged therapy. We have one Facebook page that's all about talking about pets. So you could go in and see cute little animals any time of the day. And so it just helps lift your spirit to see something fun. We also have educational programs like this where we're talking about stress and isolation and ways that you can beat those things. So you might want to consider reaching out to COVID Recovery Iowa. Before I give you those phone numbers, though, I just want to remind you that we are all in this together. This is not something where people are out to harm you. They're really trying to protect our most vulnerable Iowans, making sure that you're safe so that past the pandemic, we have you as part of our community. And we are so grateful for you. So please take a moment just to think about how, I know how hard this is, but at the same time, you are safe, you are healthy, and we are grateful to have you as part of our team. So here again, at the very bottom, on the bottom line, you'll see the hotline numbers. And if you would like to call a hotline, you can call 800-447-1985 is 24-hour hotline. And they can get you somebody to talk to. They can get your referrals to things that you might need. Or you can call the Iowa Warm Line where you talk to somebody. And again, that one now is open from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. each day. That number is 844-778-9276. So on behalf of COVID Recovery Iowa, we just want to thank you. Thank you for paying attention today and for being part of our program. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon.